Greetings, peoples of the interwebs. Jake here, and in this video, me and my co-hosts Dave and Jordan will be listing our top 10 favorite Marvel characters. So, who wants to start this off? Dave.
David.
We're just making a lot of gestures right now.
Finger
but,
gestures, but yeah, we're gonna start
I
with
guess
you.
we'll go through the.
We're trying to have the illusion of being prepared.
Yeah.
I guess we'll go through 10 through 6 pretty quick. We won't spend a lot of time on it, but I'll just preface this by saying this was a difficult list to come up with, and it's subject to change. But
But this is why we do these things.
Yeah. For these purposes, my number 10 is Nightcrawler.
My number 10 was Hulk.
Silver Surfer.
Cool. At 9, I have another X-Man, Cable.
I've got Captain America.
Hulk.
8, I've got Venom, the Flash Thompson version, so he counts as a hero. It's a bit more recent.
Like the clarification for the less comic book savvy people.
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of have.
Yeah.
You kind of have to, because any other iteration, he'd be a villain.
Yeah. My number 8, Doctor Strange.
For me, Iron Man.
Kind of lower on the list than I would have thought. But my number 7 is Star-Lord.
Deadpool.
Wolverine.
My number 6 is Rogue.
Thor.
Captain America.
All right, so we'll talk a bit more about our number 5s. I guess I picked Deadpool. I'm a fairly big Deadpool fan. I love the humor and he's the merc with a mouth.
Yeah. My number 5 was Iron Man. And I will admit, 5 and between him and Thor, I was kind of really figuring out which one I wanted in which order. I guess I just kind of went with Iron Man because I don't know. I really like the movies. That's kind of what started the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Read, Matt Fraction's run on Iron Man.
Yeah, and even though I haven't really
fantastic.
read much of Iron Man, I really like Iron Man.
I recommend starting there. It's
well, yeah,
great.
got some
to,
reading recommendations for you guys.
Some amazing art by, I believe, Salvador Larroca. For anyone
Yeah,
who cares.
I like Iron Man too. I don't know.
Iron Man 2 the movie.
He kind of
also
Iron Man.
he was a little lower on the list than I expected. But,
I really didn't expect him to be that low. It's just kind of.
how it worked.
I don't know.
I'm interested to see the rest of your
Really,
list,
3
but,
through 8 was kind of a toss up for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, I will say 1 and 2
I've
were
read a
kinda
fair
solid
share of
and-
Iron Man. I'm a big fan of the films. I guess I was basing it more off of the comics, just that I've read personally.
Yeah.
But he's still an awesome character. But 5 for me was Deadpool as well.
Cool.
I got into him once I started reading his monthly series a couple years back.
I don't know when exactly
by
I jumped
Daniel
onto
Way.
it, but yeah, it's.
But I knew he was a cool character before that. Just
Yeah, I mean,
even his brief appearance in Wolverine. He's still. It's like
ruined him, but I
yeah,
like that they're.
it's like
they're
you didn't
fixing
do him
that
justice,
comic
but
movie.
it's like I want to see more. And he's just to be not that old of a character.
Yeah, he's probably
He hasn't
one
been
of the
around that long.
fastest,
Really hasn't been
rising,
around about
like
as long as we've
91,
been alive. So
Yeah, I
early
think he's
90s.
Really not that old.
93?
91.
Was it
I
92?
want to say 91.
New
but
Mutants 98.
Okay,
First
yeah,
appearance.
yeah, that's right. Okay.
I don't know for sure.
I'm digging deep.
So
in
yeah,
that.
he's
I want to say 91, but I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
I
3
don't know
through 8 for
certain.
me is kind of a toss up. It could be like
Yeah.
tomorrow Iron Man could be 3 or 4 when I wake up.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
I really
with
thought
that.
he was going to be top
This
5,
list could
but
change, but
yeah, this list is
again,
we said, it's difficult.
I really struggled with this, and again, something to change, so we could easily do like a revisited, a few months down the road,
Yeah.
where we're kind of like, that guy, I like that, but guy's better.
I was getting lazy. I didn't want to keep racing my 7s and my 8s, so I just left Iron Man in 8.
yeah, I
Sorry,
kind of
Tony.
just I went with it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. So number 4,
So number 4,
Yep.
Cyclops, another X-Man on my list.
just pick the
Big
whole
X-
X-Men team,
I
Dave.
probably
I know,
could.
I've-
I probably
I didn't wanna
could've,
pick a whole
honestly.
lot.
Yeah.
That was
Just
another
went with
thing
2.
too. But big X-Men fan. But I think he's one of the more famous ones. Not Wolverine, I guess, is the biggest one. But he's sort of become more morally ambiguous. He's wound up killing Professor Xavier, his mentor. But I like he holds a lot of responsibility in the mutant community that maybe he puts it on himself. But I think he's a polarizing figure and just a great, interesting character.
So my number 4, Daredevil. Which, admittedly, again, I haven't read a whole lot about Daredevil, comic-wise, but he's probably one of the most dynamic heroes, not just in like
Absolutely.
Marvel, but just like
Absolutely.
in comic books in general. Because you've got
Certainly at the superhero genre. but-
yeah,
Yeah.
like because you've got your Matt Murdock being the lawyer, so the whole court drama as we've
There's
discussed
all
in like the
stuff with his
Daredevil.
father and boxing.
Yeah,
And on top of that, he's blind.
yeah, he's blind, so
Add
it's,
that to it.
He's probably one of the only.
Dating life, not the best. I'll go ahead and say
No,
it.
but
All
He
the
still
women
gets
in his
girls.
life
Yeah.
dying.
But yeah, that was one of the main reasons. I love his whole mythos and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Number 4 for me is Thor.
Good choice.
He's always been a cool character. Didn't know a whole lot about him as a kid because I didn't read
Yeah.
his stuff. But really, once the movie came out a few years back, I kind of started reading more Thor. I read some of the classic stuff, and I thought that was really cool. I liked how he could have the world of Asgard, and then he was Donald Blake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
but
I
earlier
thought that was
stuff
pretty
didn't go that
cool.
way in the movie. Yeah, I mean, I like the whole
They didn't really
Norse
address it as
mythology
much in
element too.
the
Yeah.
first one.
That's sort of involved in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting fun
It's
fact.
different from your normal superhero.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like that it is even really they even could make something like that a superhero. You
Yeah,
wouldn't.
with Marvel.
Yeah, you wouldn't think just pulling something from Norse mythology and like, oh, he's a superhero too.
Yeah.
But anyway, a fun fact about that movie: Charlie Hunnam turned down the role.
Really?
He would have been Thor if.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I think Hemsworth.
Oh,
did a better
Hemsworth's
job.
better.
Yeah.
That put
I
him
think
put
Hunnam
him on
would
the
have been
map.
fine,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think Hemsworth
He looks.
did a better
He
job.
looks like
than-
he looks like Thor anyway.
Some reading recommendations, just real quick for Thor, is I just got done reading Thor, God Butcher, and God Bomb.
Jason Aaron.
Fantastic. So
Oh, yeah,
there you
he's a
go.
really good
Read it.
writer.
You're welcome.
Really good stuff.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Iron Man, which we've kind of already
Yeah, that's
touched
what I
on.
said.
Again,
He
like,
could have been 3 for me too.
I'll say again, the Matt Fraction run, really, really fantastic. Yeah, I mean, just he's always. I mean, I probably first heard of him from one of those old Spider-Man cartoons. I mean, not even the 90s, really early where Stanley was
Yes.
doing the narration.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Back in the 60s?
probably because that's how old I am. But
Come on, you're 38. Don't lie to yourself.
could I try to throw in a little mystery into the podcast? They
Who
don't
is
know about-
Dave? How old is he? Really?
Is Dave real?
Does he actually know Rob Halford?
Is this me? Am I just doing an impression of another guy that we call
Maybe
Dave?
he is good at impressions. So
Yeah.
it's talented that you can also interrupt yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Just always thought he was a pretty cool character.
My number 3, Wolverine, because I mean, I love X-Men. Like that was, I grew up with X-Men, the TV show and stuff. But I just think he's such a cool character. I know he's, you've made the argument that he is overrated, but he's at least overrated for a good reason.
He was one of my favorite characters as a
He
kid.
was my favorites initially, but I
he's-
think once you get into
The
a lot of
dynamics
the
of it.
other X-Men stuff, he's I feel like there's a lot more.
Yeah.
And I've always liked that they're kind of really more than any Marvel characters, I guess, allegorical. If that's a word, it's an allegory, really for wider issues. And
Yeah.
well, even back then when they first started out.
Yeah. Then just I don't know. He's kind of a lone wolf who plays with the team, but they obviously
Still
kind
wants to have
of
that edge to him.
yeah, but they conflict with because
I
Wolverine.
do like the growth you kind of see, and when he does come to the Xavier School, and I want to say it softens him up, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
I guess he
Just
the
like
Grinch
Full House.
grows a heart.
Just like Full House softened up Uncle Jesse.
yeah.
Then that show's coming back too.
Alrighty.
Unfortunately.
We'll do a podcast on that.
Yeah.
Not. Anyway, number 3 for me, and this character, he's made a late push recently in the past few months for me, and that's Punisher.
Yes.
Okay.
Punisher,
Okay.
I've been reading a little more Punisher comics, just as I read some of his ongoing series now and some of the Punisher Max, and I'd always
Fantastic.
liked him before, just his backstory and
Yeah.
how he, is just awesome. He's a boss, and
Oh yeah.
like we've said before, the 2 movies don't do him justice.
No, not at all.
And
I've not seen either two of them.
It just-
so.
he's a cool character that has a lot of pain behind
Yeah.
what he does, and like I
They
said,
all
he's
do to some extent.
Yeah.
oh yeah, but just because he's not your regular hero, he's
No.
doesn't have a power.
Just
He's not
uses
like a
his wits
superhero,
and-
Yeah.
but kind of like I was saying with Thor before, it's a little different than
Yeah.
your normal guy who can fly and fight crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. So number 2,
Yep.
Spider-Man. So he's a big one. Probably
That
maybe one of the first superheroes I ever even knew about.
that was
when I
my number
a
2
kid.
as well.
Me too.
Oh, huh?
Really?
Wow.
I kept
Okay.
going back
Finally,
and
a
forth. I
consensus
kept going back and forth with 1 and
Yeah.
2.
I mean, I knew Spider-Man would be one of them, but
Yeah.
placing
My
was
1
a
and
bit
2
hard,
were
but
I did not have to do any
I
debate.
almost
Yeah.
guarantee our 1 and 2 is the same.
Oh, it is. Definitely is.
I guess like my reasoning for Spider-Man is, I mean, one, he's I don't know. Every time I think of Marvel, he's always the first hero that comes
the
to
icon.
mind. Yeah, but also he's just
He's the face of Marvel.
yeah. Like I grew up with Spider-Man. I love
He's an everyman.
yeah.
Yes.
Easily relatable. You can easily relate to him on different levels. Aside from the superhero part, unless you have radioactive spider powers, then even
I
more
do.
relatable.
I do. They're not as good as Pierce.
Yeah,
But I have
that's a whole nother thing though.
another podcast.
But just as a kid, I always loved Spider-Man, regardless of the movies, TV show, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be Spider-Man when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
It's I don't know.
I was
I,
Spider-Man for Halloween a few years
I
ago.
mask I wore to school.
I feel like it's hard to go wrong with Spider-Man, whatever direction,
For a
whatever
while, I
medium.
insisted that teachers call me Spider-Man.
We even had a classmate who resembled a young Peter Parker.
Yep, for quite a many years we
Yes.
went to school back in the day with him. But anyway, Jordan as number 1 is Daredevil.
Oh,
I assume-
oh, Daredevil?
I thought you
This is
hated him.
embarrassing.
Whoops.
Yeah, I actually had Mary Jane Watson. So.
Interesting choice.
Just kidding. It was Daredevil. Dave was right.
Discuss it.
My number 1 probably shouldn't be that big of a surprise. Punisher.
Yeah.
That's what I would have guessed, but I do like I like that little more recent Punisher, Spider-Man, Daredevil kind of crossover.
Yes. A couple years ago.
More recent Daredevil, not the current. It's still Mark Waid's run, but it's
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
current.
Not
run
that
of it.
volume. But Daredevil, I really got into that character when the movie came out in 5th grade, and I started reading some Daredevil comics I picked up and just realized how much to the character was, so much pain, so much
It's one of the most dynamic and
Yeah.
well flushed
Yeah.
out and just dark and
story,
gritty characters.
storylines are
And
great.
that's probably one of those things where, like, you see the movie, you're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Read the comics, like, it's not amazing anymore. But the comics, it's amazing.
There's definitely several comics.
Director's cut of that movie is a lot better, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a
still
lot better. I watched it a few weeks ago.
No.
I think I'm partial to it just because I do love Daredevil,
Yeah, yeah.
but it could have been better.
Yeah.
But some other comics I would read, like in middle school, I totally didn't really grasp all of it. It took me, once I was out of high school, to
You had to go
revisit
back and read
those.
them.
And,
Yeah.
oh, I missed that, and I missed that, and I totally forgot
Whoa,
about
yeah,
that.
but,
And
just as you learn, I guess, more about
Yeah.
even history and
Yeah.
societal issues and culture and stuff.
yeah, which was cool to
It
revisit
kind of goes
those.
over your head as a
Yeah.
kid. That you get more of the impact of
Yeah.
it if you reread it.
Revisiting
As a
was
38-year-old man.
I fell in love with the character
87.
again. So
That's a
he's been
beautiful
my-
thing to do.
him and
so.
Spider-Man are always my go-tos. They've been my 1 and 2 for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people like Daredevil. Why is he your favorite character?
Well, a lot of people don't
But,
know about
you
him.
Yeah, they
Besides,
judge him
he's
based,
the blind guy.
Yeah,
He's
they
the
just
man
were-
without fear.
or they base him just off the movie. And it's like, of
Yeah.
course you're not gonna,
I actually had a conversation with the guy a few weeks ago about it's like Daredevil. What was why that? It's like
Yeah.
there's so much more to him. Than,
It's like, dude,
They
don't
didn't
even
think-
get me
They
started.
didn't do him justice. Hopefully,
Yeah.
this new Netflix series that
Yep.
we'll be reviewing
Here shortly.
later.
Not like in the next few minutes, obviously, but within like the week or so. But my number 1, the reason why I was Punisher is, I've always loved Punisher even before,
Yeah. That was like me.
before I really started reading comics here lately. I just love the idea of him because he's, I don't know. I feel like, just like reading the comics here lately, I like love when like he enters like a room or something like that, and they're like these criminals. They're like they just see the skull on his chest, and they're like, "Oh no, it's a Punisher!"
It's a great logo.
Just that
Reputation,
instant
yeah.
fear. I mean, like, to some extent, like any hero, like Captain America or Spider-Man, when they show up, they're like, "Oh man, it's Spider-Man."
Mm-hmm.
But it's not so much fear of like,
he-
No,
my
Spider-Man
life
has a
is
totally
in
different
yeah.
reputation. Though.
And some
Yeah.
of these, like Spider-Man,
Shut up,
he's a
kid.
kid. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
afraid of a kid.
Or it's just kind of like, "Oh no, it's Spider-Man."
Frank
He'll-
Castle's a grown man.
Yeah, like that's what I loved about like Punisher Max, like one of the series. Like the Garth Ennis run, phenomenal so far.
I haven't read it, but Garth Ennis is a
Oh
great
my
writer.
god, yes. But basically, just because everyone knows, it's like, oh, my life is at stake here if I stick around. Whereas the other heroes, it's like, okay,
We'll
they
fight.
might, yeah.
We'll get bruises, but
And I
I'll
think
be
that's another
back and
thing
you'll be back.
with the villains. Even some of the villains with some of these heroes, they're kind of like, okay, sure, they might beat me up, but realistically, they're probably not going to kill me. They're just going to like maybe
Yeah,
lock me
Punisher's
up.
like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, Punisher's just like, yeah,
I've got a
so
big gun. Watch
you're
out.
evil. You have done bad things.
Same kind of thing with Deadpool.
Yeah.
Is another thing
Yeah.
I enjoy about him, but I also like the humor element to
Yeah.
it as well.
But
Punisher, much more serious.
oh yeah. But yeah, I just love. I mean, like probably one of my favorite moments in Civil War was when like Punisher shows up with at like Captain America's base, and they've got a couple of like villains with them. To kind of like just fill in the ranks, and they're part of like their plan to infiltrate
It's quite a while since I've read Civil War, so
Tony Stark's base and whatnot. But basically, they kind of come out of the shadows. They're like, "Hey guys, we're here to help." Punisher just like blows their brains out. They're just kind of like, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, "They're villains. I'm doing my
just
job."
Punisher and the things I liked in I think it was Bendis's run on Daredevil when Matt Murdock goes to prison. Punisher winds up breaking him out.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Pretty Punisher.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
definitely.
I just love that.
'Cause
Like,
he pretty much takes
He takes
kind of
over.
takes all the blame and then like just like whatever. I don't care how it's gonna make me look.
yeah,
And it's
like that's what I love about Punisher. He really does
he's
not
got
give
a
a shit.
sad backstory, but
Yeah.
he doesn't care. It's like
Yeah.
my family's dead. I don't
Yeah.
care about anyone else. I will
So again,
kill
like,
whoever
He's got
comes in
nothing.
my way.
He's got nothing. To
The
lose.
other heroes, they
No
I
one's
got nothing
no
to
one's
lose.
scarier than
Yeah. like the other heroes pretty much hate him. They're just kind of like, that
Yeah.
guy's a psychopath, but he's just like, I do what you can't do.
But you
So-
want him on your team in the end. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's crazy. I don't really want to hang out with him, but
But
when I'm
We
about to
wanna
die. I
buy
want
him
him.
a
I want
kitchen
him
party,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
me.
but
because again, in Civil War, he was basically like in the sidelines, like basically you'd see like a
He's not gonna
masked
be-
man like kind of cover him with like sniper rifle. You're like, is that a bad guy? What's going on? And sure enough, he's just like, I've been covering you guys' asses the whole time. Like that's who that was. Punisher was blowing those guys' brains out.
probably should have figured that out.
Yeah,
Based
yeah.
off Chuck Norris, isn't it?
He is, yeah. Even fought in Vietnam.
Yeah.
That's like part of his where he got his special forces training is in Vietnam. But yeah,
Guess we come up
So I
with our
guess now we're
consensus.
gonna come up with what we think. Well, what is everybody has Daredevil.
Let's put Iron
everybody
Man at
has
5. I can
Spider-Man,
do Iron Man at 5.
I can
Yeah.
do Iron Man at 5.
Okay.
We should
Iron Man
write
at
this.
5.
Somebody
I'll
should
write
write
it.
this down. What do we all have?
I think we all had Thor.
Nope, I don't have Thor.
Well, you can leave, Dave.
We can put Spider-Man for sure.
Spider-Man's definitely up there. He's probably gonna be
Let's put him at 3 for now.
Yeah,
Three for
three.
now.
I think would work.
Well,
Daredevil.
Iron-
We all had Daredevil.
Yeah, we all had Daredevil.
I'll throw him in at 2. Then we can.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
we got 3 up there now.
Is that all that we had in common?
I mean, me and Jordan had Punisher.
We had
We both had
Punisher.
Thor, which
So we all have Deadpool.
yeah, I think we all had. I think we all had Deadpool. Deadpool.
Okay, I'll put him in that.
I mean, just
that
by the
4.
basis.
Yeah.
Granted, he was my 5, but I think he was lower on your guys' list.
Yeah, he was number 8.
I'm at 5.
But I mean, just
Or no,
by,
number-
yeah, it's just by the fact that he's on all our lists.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he has to go in the main one.
Any votes for Thor, Cap?
My vote would go towards Thor if we
I'll go
put
for
him.
Thor because both of you had
Yeah.
Thor.
Okay.
He's a god. He's a Norse god.
I don't disagree. I was just
Yeah.
You
It's
better
like with-
you better
it's
not
like
disagree,
me
Dave.
with Iron Man, he
would
wasn't
be
in
a
my
different
top
version
5,
of the
but
list.
Yeah.
I'm cool putting him
I
on
kind of
here.
just wanted to throw in
Okay.
a few different ones like Rogue and Star Lord, but what have we got so far?
I wrote down Thor, Daredevil, Spider-Man, Deadpool, and Iron Man.
Punisher number
That's
1.
our 5. Now we gotta order it. Well, I guess by that same virtue, you both had Punisher, so we can. He's not a 6, but you got I guess write him down. It's gonna be
What?
5. Somebody's got to get out of that list.
Who at 5?
I don't know. Who do you want to kick out? Thor, Punisher.
I'd be willing to kick out Thor. I like Thor, but Punisher being my number one,
I'm kind of okay either way.
Okay.
So
All right, Punisher.
I don't have too much of a.
You're seeing like our thought process.
I'm cool
in
with
the making.
Thor.
It's gonna be a lot
being-
of dead air
I'm
for like
cool
20
with-
minutes.
I'm cool with Thor
So if you
being
just
on
wait.
the bench, sixth man. You know, he
Yeah.
comes in and cleans some stuff up.
Yeah.
If I don't know if it was a different day, he would probably be on my list.
Thor will show up when our top 5, who will inevitably become the new Avengers.
Well, we got to put Spider-Man
know.
at 2 because he was 2 for all
Yeah,
of
yeah,
us.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cool with
That's
that.
fair. Well, he might even wind up being 1 just
Yeah.
because we all have him.
Punisher,
I would put
guys,
Daredevil
Punisher.
at 1, but
Yeah.
the simple fact
Let's
that we
do Spider-Man 1, Daredevil 2, Punisher 3.
where's Punisher 3.
Because he's badass, Dave.
I wouldn't
Or
mind
do you want
moving
Iron
Iron
Man?
Man up a little bit more.
Iron Man at
Not
4, 3
necessarily.
or 4.
Not necessarily.
I'll give you 4 for Iron Man. I might go with 3.
I'll do 4.
Yeah.
All right, 4. All right, Deadpool and Punisher. We gotta determine for 3 and
Who's
4.
it? 1 is Spider-Man.
2 Daredevil.
3 is
We're deciding between Deadpool and Punisher, and we got Iron Man at 4. So one's gonna be 5, one's gonna be 3.
Well, I wouldn't mind
I know
putting
you.
up Iron
I
Man
know,
to 3.
Yeah. As much as I'd like to
Deadpool
see
4.
Punisher moved up higher, you know, you didn't have him on your list, so we kind of gotta. I guess we could.
where was Deadpool for you? 8.
No, number 7.
Deadpool's 5 for both of us.
Yeah.
So.
I like Deadpool at 4. I don't want to put Iron Man at 3 just to make Dave happy, but we might have to. But then again, do we want Punisher at 5 for you? Because I know you want him higher.
Yeah,
I kind of like him higher too.
In all fairness, I
1 and
guess
2, 1 and 2 are
the
set.
majority. Yeah. So we're still arguing over 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. Wait, where was Punisher for you again? Did he make your list?
No, he's not on my
Punisher's
list.
not even on your list. Ugh.
What the hell?
I'm really not as familiar with the character. I really
Okay,
haven't read
yeah.
any solo Punisher
Like
stuff.
like I said, he just
Something
kinda-
we'll have to remedy.
he-
I can let you borrow some Punisher.
He was definitely
All
my
right,
top 10 before I read him. But the last couple of months since I've been reading,
Yeah, man, I
that's
just
how
know
he
kind of stuff I've
snuck
heard
up.
from where I've seen him in other,
He snuck up for
comics
me.
or whatever. But maybe if I read more, he would
Okay.
probably be different.
Well,
Trust me,
let's-
if you started reading Punisher Max, you'd be
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Yeah. All right, let's
I
do.
hope so.
All right, we'll put Iron Man at 3. He's
Okay.
a great
Yes,
character.
I win.
Yeah, I'll let him win.
Go to hell.
Because I don't want him to cry the rest of the night.
I probably
And-
would.
Let's do.
I haven't been drinking, but I'm prone to tears.
Let's do
Either way.
Deadpool 4, Punisher 5. We cool?
Yeah.
He got in the list.
Oh,
For
yeah,
the
all right,
consistency.
He got in.
Yeah, I will say this. I
like-
didn't really expect
I'm the bouncer
him,
right now,
Yeah.
so he got
I
in.
didn't expect him to even make like our consensus. So yeah, okay, I can take it.
So just to reiterate,
All right, we
our,
got-
our Pasty Pale top 5.
Yeah, as
All
a
right.
whole,
All right,
Marvel
that's
heroes.
it. That's it. That's it.
Jordan's calling it.
At 5, we've got Punisher. 4, Deadpool, Merc with a Mouth. 3, I Am Iron Man. 2, Daredevil, Man Without Fear. And number 1, your friendly neighborhood, Spider-Man.
Boom! The crowd goes wild.
Applause.
Yeah. Once we actually get production value, we'll edit that stuff in.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm working on it.
But I think with our general consensus of top 5, I think that pretty much wraps this Pasty Pale
But,
podcast up.
Let us know in the
Yes,
comments.
give us your list,
and
please.
Whatnot.
Thanks
Yeah.
for listening.
We've
Your
already
list
had
and
some fan submissions. We'll
Actually,
do
I
a
have
separate,
had some stuff
Yeah.
on the Facebook page.
which we'll do like a separate video on the fan submissions and hopefully get a bigger discussion, a bigger fan submission for that. But yeah, feel free to submit your list of your top 10 or send us hate because maybe someone you like didn't make our list. Whatever, just yeah.
Your hate completes him, so.
So until next time, everyone. Cheers.